Once again, welcome to Under Construction. I am your host, the Angry Black Fan, aka, well, I'm sorry, Jamal Darby, the aka the Angry Black Fan. Along with me is my brother, Rob Pops, Mr. Rodney Richardson. What's going on, sir?
Not much, man. How you living?
Man, you see this hairline, right?
Boy, I look like John Kiki hairline, boy.
You see this beard, right?
Oh, look at this. Look, my gray hair is protruding out my face now.
Man, dog, I'm over here looking like the Geico man. Other than that, man, I'm hanging in there, man. How did you deal with the Rona this week, man? Any new shows? Anything you want to share with us, man? Any Rona survival tips?
This week, pretty much more stuff was added to the honey-do list.
Of course, absolutely.
Yesterday, we had an experience with a backsplash, and we're halfway done. It actually looks kind of good.
All right. Will you be sharing pictures?
She's been sharing pictures.
Right, I got you.
And then we have school starts this week, so I am definitely busy right now. So I don't have any free time.
I got you, man.
Work. In school, that's it for my life.
Well. On the other hand, I have way too much. Well, I have way too much free time, and a lot of my free time is spent watching the Chicago Bulls Dynasty documentary, which we'll be seeing tonight. And this is the first topic we're going to start off with today, man. So last week, the Dynasty documentary explored Dennis Rodman and a little bit of Phil Jackson as well. The Dennis Rodman piece of it, man. I can't say anything was really shocking, and that's gonna be a common theme with me, man. Because I mean, I'm not trying to sound like a basketball snob or something, but I saw all this stuff. You get what I'm saying? Like I actually lived with the Bulls in the early '90s, so I just remember all these things happening. Yeah, pretty much, man. But the one thing that I found that was really intriguing was you remember when Scottie Pippen was sitting out the first maybe 2-3 months of the season, and Rodman kind of Michael really depended on Dennis Rodman a lot, and when he expressed how much he depended on Dennis Rodman, the way Rodman reacted, man, it was dope to really kind of relive that and see that, man. What did you think about that?
It was really interesting, man. I really loved the part where he was like, I can't keep up this choir boy charade too much longer.
Right. Like, hurry up, man, please.
Hurry up, man. Look, I'm itchy. He keeps calling me. He's calling me.
I mean, but speaking of that, man, like, think about how crazy this is, man. And think about if this would fly with anybody else. Like when Phil Jackson allowed Dennis Rodman to take his 48-hour sabbatical or whatever, when it actually turned out to be a little more than 48 hours. Does that fly in today's NBA with anybody else? Like, would anybody else have the leeway to do that?
A few years back, LeBron.
We're losing you again.
LeBron took like a 2-week sabbatical.
Ah, true. Yes. But that's LeBron James. All right. the best player in the game was allowed to get away with that.
Kawhi.
So that brings us to a good point, man. Supposedly, if you're good enough, you can take as many PTO hours and breaks, as many as you need in the NBA. Now, remember Ron Artest wanted to take a break to go record a rap album. That didn't turn out too well. He actually ended up losing money because Rick Carlisle was like, man, if you don't get your ass out of here, like, no, that doesn't fly, man. So
$1,000 a day, $10,000 a day.
But I say to tie that all in, man. I just kind of, it goes to show how, I guess, in tuned Phil Jackson was to each of his players. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that is a very important cog in his success, and it's an underrated piece that people don't talk about with Phil a lot. Any era in whether it's yesterday's NBA, today's NBA, and tomorrow's NBA. The one very important thing that's going to always be important to coaching is how you relate to players. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Phil Jackson has always caught a lot of shit about, man, well, he had Michael and he had Scotty and he had Kobe and he had Shaq. But you got to manage all those egos. You know what I mean?
Do. I have a question for you.
What's that?
Today's athlete is really different from the Kobe's, the Shaqs, especially the Michaels and the Scotties.
Right, no doubt.
Do you think if Phil jumped into coaching today, he could relate to these kids? I mean, because if you think about it, you remember this whole posse controversy with LeBron Brown a few years ago.
Right.
Do you think Phil can relate today with this generation?
I think he would need time, and also, to be fair, now it also would depend on the type of situation he comes into. Okay, let's be realistic. If Phil Jackson comes back in today's NBA as a coach, specifically as a coach, he's not going to take the Sacramento Kings job. He's not going to take the Memphis Grizzlies job. He's not going to take the Charlotte Hornets job. He's going to take a job that's going to set him up to successfully to win, basically. Now, the added layer to that is, speaking of today's generation. So depending on situation, man, if it was a situation where it was a youthful team looking to develop something, that would take time. And I don't think we'd have to be realistic in kind of expecting Phil Jackson to have not so instant success. So in other words, yeah, I think he could do it, man.
Quick question, man. If you had to coach one game 7, and you had to choose a coach, are you choosing Popovich or are you choosing Phil Jackson?
I'm choosing Phil Jackson. And I'm kind of surprised that I answered that so quickly. Like I feel extremely confident in choosing Phil Jackson. Here's why, man. My last impression of Popovich in a game 7 is not a good one. Because if you remember,
Jamal, you're breaking up.
I'm breaking up. All right. What about now? Can you hear me? Any better?
Yeah.
All right. So what I was saying. All right. So what I was saying was my last impression of Popovich in the game 7 is not a good one. Oh Lord, can you hear me? Okay, Rodney. Hold tight, man.
Uh-oh.
Rodney, let me know when we're clear, all right?
Hold on. We are you're scrambled right now.
Rodney, let me know when we're clear. All right.
We're clear. We're clear.
We're clear? Okay. All right. What I was saying was my last impression of Greg Popovich in the game 7 was not that impressive. Because if you remember, there were some coaching blunders in the last game 7 in the finals that we saw Greg Popovich. I'm strictly going off that. Now, here's another thing I'm going off of. Phil Jackson, the mental aspect of keeping players calm and keeping players focused. I just think Phil Jackson has the edge. He doesn't get overly emotional in the moment like Popovich does. So that's why I'm choosing Phil Jackson.
I'm choosing Pop, man. I'm going with Pop, man. He coaches different players in different styles of play, and I think he can. I think he better works with younger, moldable talent. To me, I mean, I look at the way how Kawhi Leonard improved under him and Tony Parker,
right?
And he's to me he's the best coach ever.
Best coach ever. Better than Phil.
Best coach ever.
Wow.
Better than Phil. Look. To me, winning in San Antonio is more impressive than winning in Chicago and LA.
I'll have to agree with you there. I look, man. I'd be a fool to sit up here and say that Greg Popovich did not have less to work with when Phil did. I think anybody would be crazy to say that. The only thing the only argument I would make for Phil Jackson, man, is that yes, he had all this talent, man, but I just think it is a little understated that managing those egos is something that's a little understated. You know what I mean? And that's the only reason I give a slight edge to Phil Jackson, man. But I do want to go ahead.
Let me ask you a question, man. So it's been 30 years since the Pistons bad boy, the Pistons bad boy, and the
my God. I'm glad you brought this. I'm glad you brought it up, and I'll be glad to move on once we answer this. But go ahead, man.
So, have you ever been so salty to somebody 30 years later?
I don't know if anybody could do anything that bad to me to keep me that salty, man. Because
man, look, that level of hate, man. I wish to attain that one day.
Man, look, it's like Isaiah Thomas had like a gallon of Morton salt, and he was just dumping it out on the table when he's talking to ESPN. like what did and listen, man. To be fair, Michael is still a little salty too. I'm looking at both of them like why would both of y'all just let this go, man? Seriously, man.
Scotty, especially Scotty, man. I'm like, Scotty, look.
Low key, Scotty might be the saltiest one out of all of them.
I'm like, Scotty, look. Isaiah is better than you.
Right.
Mind your tongue, brother.
Seriously, just a little bit, man.
Just mind your tongue a little bit. I mean,
and look, but Scotty is like the little brother that hides behind the big brother, like, yeah, say it, big brother, yeah. You know what I'm saying?
You won't say that to Michael, though.
Right. He has that luxury hiding behind Michael, man. But here's the thing, man. Isaiah Thomas, I get it. You know, he has a right to be boastful a little bit. Yeah, you beat Michael, you beat Larry, you beat Magic. I get it, man. But to come out your mouth and say that Michael is the fourth best player you ever went up against, that is just stop it, man.
Look. In Isaiah's defense, he has a winning record against Michael, and his teams have a winning record against Michael in the playoffs.
But you know good and well there is context beyond that. Come on now. Number one.
Man, I just had to throw it out there, man.
Number one. Your team made a book of damn rules centered around Michael Jordan. You didn't basically you didn't make the Kareem rules, you didn't make the Magic rules, you didn't make the Bird rules, you made the Jordan rules, and you intentionally tried to hurt this dude to simply try to get past the Bulls, man. I'm not buying it, man.
It was within the rules.
Technically. But with all that being said, you don't do all that to call somebody the fourth best player you ever went up against. Because if he's the fourth best guy, then where's the Kareem rules at? That's all I want to know. Where the Magic rules at?
Hey, man, I got a question for you. Man.
What up?
I've been seeing a lot of people argue, basically saying that they were watching the 80s basketball and missing the nostalgia of it,
right,
and the physicality of it. Do you like today's type of play, or do you want those 80s and early 90s days back?
It's a mixed bag for me, and I'm gonna tell you why. I like today's skill level better. I mean, and that's obvious because today's players, man. You look at dudes like Luka Doncic and Giannis, man. Like, you didn't see that back in the 80s and early 90s. You know what I mean? So that part of it is a lot more enjoyable. However, the number one thing I sorely miss about 80s and early 90s basketball is the intensity level. Like, defense mattered. Like, I don't want to hear this crap about, oh man, they didn't really play defense in it. That is absolute garbage. Like, and if you think they didn't play defense, which is somebody's opinion, the intensity level, like playing like you hate the guy across from you, that's what I miss. Like, these dudes really didn't like each other on the court. You get what I'm saying?
Hey man, look, I got to push back, man. People always talk about the 80s defense. That was one of the highest scoring eras ever, man. I'm telling you, it was free baskets everywhere, man.
I'll tell you why. Here's a little nugget as to why that was, man. The top heavy teams versus the bottom heavy teams was a way bigger gap. You get what I'm saying? Like, those teams that were bad, were really bad. The teams that were good were really
the 88, 89 Hornets.
Exactly. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, that was free for all. But here's another pushback on that, man. Look at playoff basketball versus these run and gun scores that you would get in the regular season back then. It's a huge difference. You didn't see 140 to 130 in the playoffs that much compared to, you know what I mean? So it's context to it, man. But like I was saying, I hope one day basketball can get to the point where just like, man, some real rivalries can be created. Like some for real rivalries. Magic, look, I don't think so either.
Generation, it's not happening.
Look, speaking of Isaiah and Magic used to be like the best of friends. When they got on that court, it was like that. Who said Isaiah himself on the Bad Boys? So it was like that friendship stuff went out the window.
Isaiah said they were best buds until I started competing against you in the championships.
That's it, man. Which is true, man.
And hey, did you hear the story about Magic saying that he kind of blocked Isaiah from joining the Dream Team because of the bisexual rumors?
Oh, well, I kind of low key kind of heard that a while ago, man, and I'm glad you brought that up because we know how much of a lightning rod Michael is when it comes to anything. You get what I'm saying? And I'm kind of sick and I'm not saying Michael had nothing to do with Isaiah not being on the Dream Team, but at the same time, he damn sure was not the only one who didn't want. That's my point. That's right. Right. But Michael is always the centerpiece when it comes to that topic. It's like, oh well, MJ the one kept him off. No, MJ, Magic, Pippen, they all kept him off the Dream Team.
Yeah. Quick question for you too, man. What is one thing that you didn't like about the episode 3 and 4?
Oh, that's easy. Too much Pistons, Isaiah Thomas stuff. That's easy, man. I get it. I get it. Rodman came from those Bad Boys Pistons team. The Bulls had to get through those Pistons teams to get what I understand all that, man. But I watched this documentary to see the Bulls and Michael Jordan, not the Bulls and the Bad Boy Pistons. Let me give you one little nugget. When the Bad Boys special was on and they were documenting the Bad Boys and the Pistons, it was a minute of Michael Jordan and the Bulls, and then they moved on. With this, it was like a whole damn segment, man.
Hey, but you got to think about this. Like, if you look at the Pistons' road to the championship, their biggest obstacle was the Celtics. So you obviously will see more of the Celtics then. I mean, the Bulls' main obstacle at the beginning was the Pistons, and so it kind of reflects. But one thing I didn't like, man, I think it was just too much Dennis for me. Dennis Rodman. Mm-hmm. We just saw his story on the 30 for 30 like 2-3 months ago, man.
Right.
I wish they would have spent more time on Phil. Like the actual footage they had of Phil in like Puerto Rico was like gold, man. I'm like,
that was gold. No doubt, man. No doubt. And I like his story, man. His family life.
Also, I wanted them to talk about the Doug Collins, Phil Jackson kind of dynamic a little more.
Yeah, man.
Because they touched it, but they didn't really dive into it.
And speaking of the Doug Collins thing, man, because here's the old guy talking again, but the rumor back then when it happened was Michael Jordan got Doug Collins fired. So Michael was even a lightning rod in 1988. You get what I'm saying? 89, whenever it was. So I was really glad to see that they actually expounded on that part a little bit, man. And all along it was Jerry Krause who actually made a good decision moving on from Doug Collins to Phil Jackson. You got to look. Jerry Krause is going to get bashed a lot throughout this whole thing. So, but you got to give him credit where credit is due, too, man. So,
man, look. Jerry Krause, look, he's painted out to be the villain, man. But without this man, Michael doesn't have as many championships, man.
Absolutely.
Who would have thought to trade Oakley for Cartwright?
Right.
Made the made the draft day deal to trade for Scottie Pippen. Like this man was low key genius, man.
Right. I mean, those are like game changing, under the radar, but game changing moves. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And here's another kind of understated piece to that, man. Like Michael himself stated, they wanted to keep that thing together until somebody beat them. Here's a question. Does Michael's legacy suffer a little bit if they got to the point where somebody actually took it from them? You get what I'm saying? Krause ended the dynasty before that could happen. So what? So just playing devil's advocate. What if the Bulls go to the finals in '99 and get beat by the Spurs? How much does that change Jordan's legacy? Maybe not much, but still, you know what I mean?
Man, look, the 3-6 Mafia would have a field day. The 3-6 Mafia is LeBron's crew. And they would have an absolute field day with that. Oh, he lost in the finals too.
Right. He's 6-1. He lost one.
He lost to the Spurs. He was rookie Tim Duncan.
Spurs wasn't even that good, man. They wasn't even that.
Avery Johnson is their point guard.
No, I mean, but seriously, man, you gotta give Jerry Krause where his credit, give him credit where credit is due, man, because he made some gut wrenching moves that proved out, to be a game changer. Now, needless to say, that whole Bulls thing really hadn't been going too well since they. But I don't know if you can blame him for that or not. So we'll that's another discussion for another day, man.
So moving on. So the NBA announced that the draft lottery was canceled.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. Do you think the season's coming back this year, man?
Nah, I don't, man. No. I don't. I really don't. I think it's done. I do. And, as far as the draft lottery thing, man, like it's kind of insignificant to me because, I mean, there's more important kinks to work out than the draft lottery. That draft lottery is what, 10 minutes at best, 10, 15 minutes, man. So, you know what I mean? And I can wait to be disappointed by the Hornets' luck anytime. So, that's another. And the Hornets will be picking number 12. Like I can wait to see that, man.
So let me ask you a question. So say for instance the draft lottery comes up, and we end up in a top 2 or 3 pick.
Yeah.
Who would you want, man?
Who, man? Okay. I'm always a big proponent of not drafting for need. You draft talent over need. I'm going to tell you the way that I would want this to work out, okay? Let's say the Hornets had a number 3 pick. The way that I want this to work out, I want somebody to take Wiseman first so we don't even have to worry about him. And I want Anthony Edwards to fall to 3. So it's like the obvious pick. I want the obvious pick to fall in our laps. And I say this now, Hornets fans are looking at me like, we don't always pick the best pick. Yeah, I know that. However, I trust Mitch Kupchak. Okay. So in this scenario, I trust Mitch Kupchak. So if I want Anthony Edwards to fall to number 3 and we get Anthony Edwards, man.
Gotcha. Okay.
Who you looking at? Because I'm gonna give you props. Actually, man, I didn't even start looking at Anthony Edwards until you brought him up, and I started looking at film, and I'm like, yeah, I see it. Yeah, no doubt.
To me, man, I actually was looking at some film the other day, man. I like the kid from Israel.
Yeah, I was looking at something from him yesterday, actually. Yeah. He's gonna shoot up that draft board, man. Like he's gonna end up in the top 10. Yeah.
And I have a hot take, man. Like people don't want to hear this. We're going to have to eventually come to make a decision. Is it going to be Miles or is it going to be PJ?
Yeah. Right.
To me, man, they both play the 4 position. We need a 3 that can create off the ball, and with the ball in their hand, we need a ball handler, and I think Deni can fill that role. I'm not too invested in the center nowadays, man. Like you can find centers in free agency and make patchwork out of that.
No doubt.
The only time I'm an advocate of taking a center is if they're that unicorn type guy.
Right.
And everybody, Andre Drummond is not a unicorn.
Listen, I'm so glad you brought that up, man. Why the hell is it that certain players are always attached to the Hornets for like extended periods of time? We've been hearing about Andre Drummond to the Hornets for like damn near 2 seasons, man. I'm sick of it. And there was one piece missing that was a center. I wouldn't mind Andre Drummond. In this particular scenario where you are a team that you need to get rid of money and you are clearly rebuilding, absolutely 100% no. And we got 3 damn centers on the roster anyway, so no.
Hey, quick question for you. The Atlanta boy 23X, what do you think Edwards' ceiling is?
The roof. That's what his ceiling is. Ceiling is the roof, Anthony. no, but in all seriousness, man, I want to be very clear about something. I can only go on film. Like, I do not want to mistake us for being scouts, for being, you know what I'm saying, these so-called draft experts. So I can only go on film, which makes it a tough question to answer. Based off what I see, this dude could be one of the top scorers in the NBA, like at some point. And I mean, like when he hits his quote unquote prime, you get what I'm saying? Yeah, he could be in that range at some point. So I'll put it like that. Yeah.
Gotcha. Hey man, so we'll move into some culture stuff, man. I got a question for you. So, how do you feel? This might be controversial in your answer. I know how you are. How do you feel about Georgia and South Carolina reopening?
I'm going to be a little long-winded about this, so y'all just bear with me for a second.
Hands off, you got it.
It sucks being in the house all the time. It sucks when Friday night and Saturday night rolls around and you're used to doing certain things and watching certain things and hanging with people and being around the people you love. It's tough. This is probably one of the hardest things I've had to deal with in my relatively short lifetime. Okay. The restlessness is palpable. You can feel it. You can feel everybody collectively getting restless at the same time. It is like it's like you can feel it. You can feel the bubble bursting. People are over it. I totally get it. With all that being said, this damn pandemic ain't going nowhere. No. Like there has not been, there's no vaccine. It's not slowing down. Too many people are still dying. And not to mention the people that are dying, unfortunately, is hitting closer and closer and closer and closer to home. And it's going to hit closer and closer and closer to home to a lot of people. A lot of people who feel like they are not going to be affected. With all that being said, it is not a good idea, man. And this country is being ran like a business. They want business to open back up. This is not a damn business. These are people's lives we are talking about. This is people's livelihood as far as health goes. You get what I'm saying? The bottom line cannot be the dollar in this situation. I know America runs on the bottom line. America runs on currency and capitalism. I get it. You just can't do this right now, man. It's too soon, man. Way too soon. And speaking of Georgia, they already have a spike in COVID-19 cases since they've reopened. So it already doesn't look like a good idea.
The crazy thing about Georgia, man, my mom, one of her old roommates from college, her ex-husband passed away last week of the coronavirus. His girlfriend was actually in New York, came down, didn't know she had it, gave it to him. 50 years old, died.
Gone just like that.
I got a controversial statement, man. Don't shoot me on this one, man.
Uh-oh.
I think a lot of people don't care because it's not affecting them, if you get what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
It disproportionately affects African Americans and Hispanics thus far.
Right.
And so, I'm thinking people are like, oh, they're dying? We don't care.
Well, cool. Yeah, whatever.
We'll go to the beach. We'll do this. We'll do that. And it's just crazy, man. And then, like, what's also crazy to me is you watch these guys in Michigan and these guys in North Carolina, California, all protesting, especially in Michigan, busting up in the Capitol with guns.
By the way, those people in Michigan who were at the Capitol with guns and grenades and rocket launchers and whatever else they had, they were called very fine people a couple of days ago by guess who? We won't say his name, but I just find it funny that they're very fine people, but kneeling to advocate for black people, you're a son of a bitch. But go ahead. I just had to get that off my chest. Go ahead, sir.
It's just crazy. Like, say for instance, the under construction crew. We had a grievance with Roy Cooper. We want to open back up so we can pod at Kaz's house again.
Right.
We bust up in the state capitol with AKs and grenades. What happens? Hey, we die. We get shot. People don't even make it to the building. What happens?
We damn sure ain't making it to Kaiser's house. I can tell you that, man.
It's like I'm sitting here watching this American double standard with things, man, and it's freaking crazy, man. It's just
it's crazy. It's a crazy time, man.
It's I don't know, man. I'm just waiting for this thing to be over, man. And I hate to say this, man. It's going to be a second wave, man.
It is. It absolutely is. And here's the thing, man. Again, not to sound like a broken record, man. This is something, and not just myself, but a lot of people haven't seen. This is something we haven't dealt with. This is pretty much has taken away a lot of the freedoms we all enjoy. Crosses all color barriers, all that stuff. And people, I don't think the majority of people have mentally prepared themselves for what's to come. You get what I'm saying? It's impatient. It's selfish. It's very selfish. Number one, you know what I mean? I know somebody who actually contracted it, and he expressed, like, even coming from someone who contracted it, why would he want things to go back to normal right away? And this is for someone who had it. You get what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people, right? And as Americans, man, it's time for us to not be so greedy and selfish like we normally are all the time.
It's kind of like we're Americans, like the majority of America is not used to being told kind of what to do and how to live their lives and how to govern themselves. Right. And it's just
this
like,
is land of the free.
Yeah, it's like an entitlement. They're freaking out about it. I'm like, okay, I mean, hey, I look. I know if I go to the grocery store, I can't walk in there with a hood or a mask or something like that. I'm used to being governed by a different set of standards. It's just like, okay, this is just business as normal for me. Right.
And that's the reality a lot of us can't deal with, man. You know what I mean? Like, as much as this podcast is centered around sports, it has affected this podcast. You can look at this right now and see how it's affected. We're not in Kaiser's house doing this show. We haven't been for a long time. We struggle with content to give y'all every week. You get what I'm saying? But at the same time, we have to sacrifice this for the better of the people, man, because it's just not smart. It is not smart to just expose people to this. What's it called? The silent killer, whatever it is, man. But it's just not a good idea, man. And as much as I
have a solution, man. Tell the people of Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, hey, if you don't sit your ass down, college football going away.
Right.
Everybody hibernate then.
That should be a kick in the ass to everybody in the South. Like, hold on, wait. Go ahead.
I got a final question for you, man. So there's a rumor that the NBA is talking about kind of shifting their start of the season to like December. Are you for that?
I'm for it. I'm all for it. Yeah.
You like that?
I mean, it's a good alternative. I'll put it to you like this. I don't like it, but as an alternative, I'll take it, if that makes sense. Because I put it to you like this, man. Normally,
actually, they're actually talking about making this permanent in December. Like,
no, hell no. If it's permanent, no. I'm glad you cut me off, man, because I was just about to say, like ever since the NBA pushed it up to where it's starting in October, I have had no complaints about that. You get what I'm saying? Like, I love the NBA starting in October. There's a lot of people complaining about that. Oh, man, it starts too early. Man, I love it, man.
I like it, man. No, man, I like it, man. Look, start it in December. You start in December, right, a little before Christmas. You build it up, man, and you have your whole gap between March and about July. It's just NBA, man, because you can't compete with the NFL, man. I'm telling you, man, you're not going to win.
I get that. I look, if I'm the NBA, the powers that be, I have to take that in consideration. Okay, I get it. That how many people do we hear? Well, I don't start watching the NBA until the playoffs because football is on now. But
and a lot of people don't start watching until Christmas.
But from Jamal, from me, from the guy who loves it all, I absolutely love it when basketball and football are on at the same time. It is, I'm in hog heaven when that happens. I can watch my football on Sundays and Thursdays and Mondays or whatever, and then I have basketball to fill other time gaps. I'm fine with that, man. December thing is, as a permanent thing, I'm not with it, but I understand it. I do understand it, though. I do.
Gotcha.
I'm still not with it.
Not with it?
Not with it, man.
With it, man. Look, bring it on. Something new. We got calendar sports all year round. I don't have to worry about baseball because baseball is trash. We can just do it, man.
You stop that, man. You stop that. Baseball is a great sport that you need to get into. You need to find baseball you a team.
Baseball is for boomers.
Oh, well, I guess that's why I love it then, huh?
Yeah.
Go A's.
Old ass.
So anyway, man, I wanna do something different right now, man. I want to turn this over to the people who actually tuned in, man. What have y'all been doing to, I don't know, not lose your mind during the Rona? And actually, I also want to ask the people who are watching, what content do you want to hear from us? Because we're so strapped with content to give you guys, what do y'all want to hear from us? Well, I want a little feedback from y'all.
Look. Danny has been doing, our brother Danny, he has been doing the his own version of the hip hop verses.
Yes.
Which is kind of interesting. And he's not been getting a haircut. So that's what Danny has been doing.
Just said Danny's a part of the No Haircut Club. That's what's up.
Caveman group.
Anyway, man, we are kind of up against it, man. Anything else y'all want to talk about? Anything else on your mind? Any questions? Matter of fact, one other thing I want to throw out there. So tonight with the Bulls documentary is supposedly the Kobe Michael dynamic. Am I right? And I just wonder how that fits into this whole Bulls thing. You know what I mean? Just like, you know, I understand we lost someone monumental and we lost somebody who is a landmark athlete. I'm just not so sure how that fits in with the whole Bulls dynasty dynamic. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, the Atlanta boy got a quick question. Let's talk about this Jill Scott, Erykah Badu thing next week. Badu body bag.
Nah, I'll say this. I'm not picking anybody. I'm actually not picking anybody because I really think it's Ali Frazier. I'm for real, man. I think this is a heavyweight fight. I'm not picking anybody. That's a heavyweight fight, man. That's a good one.
Jill Scott's a cruiserweight.
Stop, man. Stop. She is not by any.
Badu's the heavyweight. Badu's the heavyweight here.
Stop.
Jill Scott's the cruiserweight.
Stop. Come on. You're not going to tell me that. You are not going to sit here and tell me that one of their catalogs is so much better than the other ones, man. You're not going to sit here tell me that, man. Stop that. Stop that.
Look what Danny said.
Y'all can look, Rodney. You know how me and you argue about music. I am going to sit this one out. I'm not arguing about this, man. I truly believe this battle would be a great one. It'll be way too close for comfort, in my opinion, man. I really believe that. I do. I mean,
look, Danny is obviously drinking right now because he thinks Jill's going about to.
I ain't say all that either.
Put the Crown Royal down. and go back and listen to the catalog, brother.
Hey, Danny, I got you back a little bit, man. So, Rodney, since you're so passionate about this, man, stand up for Badu. Why do you think she wins in a landslide? Why is it so lopsided to you?
She is more versatile to me. She has more the hip hop background. She got more slappers, man. She's been around longer. She got more slappers.
She ain't been around that much longer, man. Oh, okay.
A little bit longer.
Okay, a little bit longer. Yeah. You're right. It's very a little longer.
She got more slappers, man. She got more slappers, and then she got more hits recently too. To me.
Okay. All right. I mean, I understand your point. I'm not arguing. I'm not. I refuse. Not today. Nope. Not doing it.
Hey, man, look. If I was a single man like you guys, I would obviously date.
You stop that. You stop.
Look. I'll tell her she'll win the battle just because.
Hey man, I couldn't date Erica, man. Tight pants don't fit me too well, man, and my head too big for crochet hats, man. So I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could date Erica like that.
Look, I'm scared of her. You be wearing.
I'm scared of her, man.
Green eyes too? Nope.
Nope, not doing it. No, don't want nothing about Badu, man. I'll be rapping about freedom and wearing. I'm good.
Metaphysically speaking, the world is in the spherical world.
I'll be straight snapping fingers, bro. Can't do it, man. But I'm seriously looking forward to that one, man. I am, man. That'll be
another battle I'm looking forward to that you may not be looking forward to is 3 6 Mafia versus Bone Thugs.
Now wasn't that supposed to happen and it got canceled or something like that?
No, what happened was Timbaland and Swiss Beat got a hold to it, and they made it official versus.
Okay.
And so they got hooked up with Instagram, so it'll be coming soon.
All right, I say Bone by a landslide in that one.
I don't like Bone's music like that. I mean,
I don't either, but I still think they win.
I go with 3 6, man.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, you don't like Southern.
I don't know about that one, man.
You know
we'll see. We'll see.
Hey man, you got some shout outs, man?
Shout outs. Man. I don't know, man. I don't see people anymore. I would just say shout out to all the essential workers once again, man. Specifically, shout out to grocery store workers, retail workers, Lyft drivers, Uber drivers, restaurant workers, especially y'all. Because I say that because we obviously, and of course they deserve it. We obviously shout out healthcare workers again, who obviously deserve it. I just think the workers that I mentioned just don't get mentioned enough. So I just want to shout them out, man. Shout out to Kaiser, man. We miss your face, man. Hopefully you'll be back on with us at some point. Hopefully we'll be at your house at some point. Shout out. Oh yeah, I do have a shout out. I want to shout out everybody who personally reached out to me and gave me props on my 30 albums in 30 days. I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all feedback was like really dope, and I'm glad y'all appreciated it. For those of you who don't know, I did a 30 albums in 30 days. It's basically 30 albums that influenced my taste in music. It's not ranked. I'm not trying to say what's better than anything else. It's just 30 albums that I appreciated that I wrote reviews about. You can search the hashtag. It's all public. Let me know what you think. But shout out to the people who gave me feedback on that, and I'll keep it at
that. We give a shout out to my boy Walter Terrell. He started making plates, man, and the plate he made was the bomb, man. Look, I'm trying to pick up a plate of cornbread today. That joint was fire. Right. He's in Charlotte. As soon as he posts something to Game of Plates, I'll share it on my page. We give a shout out to like Jamal said, all the essential workers today. We went to Lowe's to pick up some stuff for our backsplash, and the men and women in there are working hard, man, and putting their lives on the line for us. Shout out to you guys and thank you so much. Yeah, just give a shout out to everybody, man, who's adhering to the rules.
Shout out to the people who got some damn sense.
Shout out to y'all, man. Like we're gonna make it. We're not gonna get sick. We're gonna look at those people sick and we're gonna be like, Told you.
Told you. Right.
Listen. And a shout out to Roy Cooper for not falling to the pressure.
Right. Yet. Anyway, y'all, we're going to leave it at that, man. Once again, man, appreciate everybody in the chat and everybody who checked us out today, man. We'll be back next week. Y'all be safe out there, man. Love one another. See y'all next week, man. Peace out, y'all.